Noah Walker had flown bush charters for 6 years, but the Alaskan interior never felt routine.
Pickup was at sundown. 2 hours. Plenty of time for a quick turnaround.
The Cessna touched down on the short gravel strip, snow billowing behind the tires. A single figure stood at the tree line, a silhouette in a heavy parka watching the parked plane.
Noah didn't like how that silhouette just stood there, motionless in the cold.
Derek Cole, his passenger, walked toward the village with his clipboard, saying he'd be back by dusk. Dusk came and went. The sun bled out behind the spruce, and Derek was still gone.
The village was too quiet. No lights, no smoke, just the wind.
Noah swept his flashlight across the dark cabins. Nothing moved. The air felt wrong. He grabbed a flashlight and started toward the community center. He needed to find Derek. The snow swallowed his footsteps. The only sound, the lonely wind threading through the spruce. He pulled the handheld radio from his jacket and keyed the mic. Nothing but hissing static. The village was a dead zone.
Every cabin dark, no dogs barking. 40 people don't just vanish.
He swept the flashlight beam across window after window, finding only the blank stare of empty rooms. Finally, he reached the community center. The door hung open a few inches, a sliver of dim light spilling onto the snow.
Why would the door be open in this cold? Something's wrong.
He called Derek's name into the gap, then pushed the door wider. The hinges groaned. Inside, a faint fluorescent hum, but no movement. Just the cold creeping in behind him.
He should have been back by now. This isn't right.
His hand tightened on the flashlight. Whatever waited inside, he couldn't turn back now. The door closed behind him with a soft thud, cutting off the last trace of outside light.
No noise, no voices. Just the buzzing of a fluorescent tube.
He stepped into the main hall and froze. 2 long tables were set for a meal, plates piled with stew, steam still rising in the cold air. A chunk of bread sat half-eaten on a plate, a spoon still dipped in gravy, as if someone had just left their seat.
They left in the middle of dinner. The whole village. Why?
The beam of his flashlight caught a small wooden toy on the floor, a carved dog dropped by a child in haste. In the kitchen, pots still simmered on the stove. Unattended, the flames turned low.
Every door open, every room empty. This isn't a drill. It's a mass disappearance.
He checked the radio room. The equipment was on, but no signal, just a dead silence that pressed against his ears.
Something happened here, and not long ago. But what could clear out an entire village without a sound?
He returned to the radio desk and tried tuning again, desperate for any voice. Only static and the faint hum of the equipment.
Nothing. The village might as well be on the moon.
He went room by room, pushing doors open with a boot. A storage closet, an office, a lounge, all empty, chairs askew.
No one hiding, no one left behind. They just left.
Panic clawed at his chest. The only rational option was to get airborne and report this from the sky. He pushed out the main door and was immediately hit by a blizzard. The storm had intensified, swallowing the village in a white void.
This isn't natural. It was clear an hour ago.
He aimed his flashlight toward the airstrip and forced his legs through the snow, the door banging shut behind him.
Just get to the plane. Don't think about the empty houses.
Through the swirling white, the Cessna's wingtip light pulsed, a tiny orange heartbeat in the dark. Noah reached the plane and stopped cold. Through the frosted cockpit window, a dark silhouette sat in the passenger seat.
Someone is in there. That's not possible.
He threw open the cabin door. Derek Cole sat inside, hands folded, face calm as still water.
Where the hell were you? The whole village is empty. Every single house.
We need to leave right now. I'll explain once we're in the air.
He's not panicked. He knew something would happen tonight.
Noah grabbed the doorframe, snow piling at his feet. He had 100 questions, but Derek's stare was absolute.
Don't argue. Just get us airborne.
This isn't a request. He's giving an order.
Noah swallowed his protest, climbed into the pilot's seat, and started flipping switches. The engine coughed to life.
You never went to a meeting. You knew the village would be empty before we landed.
Keep your voice down. We'll talk once we're clear.
He's not just hiding something. He's terrified of what's back there.
His hand hovered over the throttle, the engine waiting. The dark houses behind them felt like open mouths. He made his choice and shoved the throttle forward. The Cessna lifted off the snow, climbing into the black sky.
Whatever that village protects, it's not a secret. It's a survival pact.
Derek Cole finally sat back, his knuckles white where he'd been gripping the armrest.
We are at 5,000 feet. No one can hear us. Talk.
That village empties one night a year. Tonight was that night, and we were still there.
The cockpit fell silent, the engine drone filling the space where an explanation should have been.
Empty once a year. Where do they go? What happens there?
I don't know where. I've been warned never to ask, and neither should you.
He believes what he's saying. That's what scares me most.
Derek turned to the side window, his hand pressing against the cold glass as if measuring the distance between them and the trees below.
I was supposed to be out before nightfall. Everyone was. They don't share the exact date with visitors.
The words settled into the cockpit like frost. The usual cockpit sounds felt muffled, distant.
The half-eaten dinner, the child's toy, they didn't leave for a drill. They fled from something.
Never land there after dark. I don't know if the thing that comes cares about a plane, but I wouldn't risk it.
You are telling me a whole village empties out for something, and you still file paperwork like it's normal.
It's their way. They come back. But for one night, they let something else walk among those houses, and we were almost still there.
What is it? You've seen it? Is that why you are this scared?
I've said too much already. The less you know, the safer you'll be.
Noah set the autopilot and let the plane drone through the black, the village now a distant memory below.
He mentioned letting the houses be empty, like an offering, a sacrifice of space.
The elders call it the visitor, but no one describes it. Even thinking about it too directly is unwise.
Unwise? I watched a whole village disappear in front of me. I deserve more than folklore.
You deserve to live. That's enough. Now drop it.
The cockpit became a vacuum. Derek stared out into the void, his jaw locked, done speaking.
He's not going to give me anything else. Whatever that thing is, it's too dangerous to name.
The rest of the flight passed in a thick, uneasy quiet, the forest below an unchanging sea of shadow. The runway lights of Noah's home field cut through the dark. Relief curdled the moment the wheels touched down as they taxied to the hangar. Derek pulled a thick envelope from inside his parka and held it out.
That's more than double the fare.
Derek didn't answer. He unlatched his belt and stepped out into the night, boots crunching on snow.
We need to file a report. The village.
Derek kept walking, not breaking stride, and disappeared into the tree line beyond the floodlights.
He's gone. No paperwork, no explanation. Just cash and silence.
The envelope was thick with 20s, more than he'd make in a week. Hush money, or genuine fear.
What would I even say? That a village disappeared on purpose.
He sat in the dark cockpit long after the engine died, the cash heavy in his lap, the forest sighing around him. He couldn't just let it go. The image of that half-eaten dinner gnawed at him.
Someone needs to check, even if they think I am crazy.
He picked up the desk phone and dialed the state trooper post.
Alaska State Troopers, dispatch. Trooper Kate speaking.
I need to request a wellness check on a remote village. I landed there tonight, and the entire population was missing.
Missing? How many people? Can you describe what you saw?
40-some residents. Houses open, food on tables. No vehicles, no footprints leaving. It was like they vanished.
I'll schedule a flight for this morning. We'll look into it. Can you provide the airstrip coordinates?
She doesn't believe me, but at least someone's going.
He hung up, looked out at the first gray light of dawn, and wondered if he'd just made a mistake he couldn't undo. By mid-morning, a state trooper plane descended toward the village, sunlight glinting off the snow.
From the air, it looked like any other settlement. Smoke rising from half a dozen chimneys.
She landed on the same strip Noah had used the night before. Children were sledding near the edge of the trees.
Ma'am, I am with the state troopers. Can you tell me if anything unusual happened here last night?
The old woman smiled, shook her head, and said they'd had a quiet evening, a community dinner. Nothing more.
Every house had lights on. A generator hummed. It felt lived in and long settled.
Kate radioed the dispatch, her voice measured but tinged with disbelief.
Dispatch, be advised. Village is fully populated. No signs of disturbance. Cancel the wellness check. Either that pilot saw something else, or he's got a hell of an imagination.
She took off and circled once, watching the village shrink to a cluster of dots, smoke trailing peacefully upward. That afternoon, the sat phone in Noah's hangar buzzed. He grabbed it like a lifeline.
Noah, Trooper Kate. We flew the strip this morning. Place is perfectly normal. Cooking fires, kids playing, every house occupied.
That's impossible. I walked through every building, half-eaten meals, open doors.
I believe you think you saw that. But there's no sign of anything missing or disturbed. Everyone's accounted for.
She thinks I hallucinated a whole village. I sounded insane.
Is it possible stress played a part? The cold, the isolation. Sometimes our perception can't be trusted.
I am not mistaking a flashlight for 40 people. Something happened out there.
I've logged it as unsubstantiated. If you get any evidence, call us. Until then, there's nothing we can do.
The line went silent. Noah set the receiver down. The room suddenly too small. The word unsubstantiated like a stone in his gut.
They were all there, smiling, cooking as if nothing happened. But I know what I saw, don't I?
Weeks blurred into months. Noah flew the same routes, but that village strip was always a dark notch in his mind.
Every time I pass over, the houses look normal. Except I know one night they aren't.
He started buying coffee for old-timers at airfields, asking sideways questions about villages that kept unusual schedules. Most shrugged. One grizzled mechanic leaned in and whispered, "Some places keep their own calendar. You don't push on those."
Their own calendar. Derek knew the date. The villagers all did. It's not random.
He remembered an elder. He'd once flown for a medevac, Samuel. A man who spoke of the woods like they were alive.
Samuel once told me, there are things in the woods pilots shouldn't try to understand. I should have listened then.
Noah checked his charts. Samuel's cabin was a remote dot near a river bend, miles from any road. He filed a flight plan that didn't mention the real reason, loaded extra fuel, and took off before dawn. The spruce below stretched unbroken, a cold white ocean. And somewhere in it, an old man held answers no trooper would ever file. The river bend came into view, and a thin plume of smoke rising from Samuel's cabin. Noah circled low, feeling the weight of the question he was about to bring. He set the plane down on a stretch of packed snow near the cabin. Samuel stood on the porch, arms folded, his breath a steady cloud in the cold.
Noah Walker. You haven't flown this way since you carried my sister to the hospital. Sit. Tell me why you are here.
I saw something I can't explain. A village that empties one night a year. I walked through their houses while they were gone. A state worker told me it's for something they call the visitor.
Samuel's expression didn't change, but his hands stilled. He stared into the fire a long moment before speaking.
The state worker was wrong to speak of it. That knowledge is a burden, and he gave you only enough to wound, not to understand.
He's known all along. This isn't news to him.
The fire crackled, and Samuel picked up a poker, stirring the embers as if weighing how much truth a young pilot could carry.
I will tell you why the village empties. But you must promise me something first. Never land there after dark again.
Noah nodded, his throat tight. The old man's eyes were heavy with a knowledge that had been kept for generations.
Since before my grandfather's grandfather, the village has left one night a year.
The fire seemed to dim, and the shadows in the cabin deepened, pressing against the glow.
The visitor comes then. Not a story, not a spirit of the wind. Something that walks the houses while we are gone.
He's talking about something ancient. Something with a claim on that land.
We leave the doors open, the food untouched, so it knows we do not challenge it. It is respect and a bargain.
Samuel held a small carved figure, worn smooth by generations of hands, its shape indistinct in the firelight.
The airstrip brought strangers who do not know. The worker you flew should have been gone before the sun set. He nearly broke the pact.
If being there too late almost broke it, what would have happened if we'd stayed?
Samuel's voice dropped to a murmur, as if the trees themselves were listening outside the walls.
Do not speak of it to anyone who is not of us, not even to yourself. It does not like to be known.
Is it dangerous? If someone sees it?
As long as the people are gone, it takes no harm. It is only a presence, but it is not to be witnessed.
The fire popped, and Samuel glanced into the dark corners of the cabin as if the shadows had ears.
To be seen by it, or to try to see it, that is a violation. It would notice you.
I was out there, in the village. I might have already drawn its attention.
His mind reeled back to that dark airstrip, the silhouette at the tree line, watching.
Never land there after dark. That is your protection. I ask this of you, Noah.
He's not telling me I am safe. He's telling me I might be marked.
The warning hung between them, as dense as the cold outside the walls. Noah nodded, the motion small, but his gut knew he had already crossed a threshold he couldn't uncross. Samuel did not rise. He watched Noah cross the threshold, the firelight casting long shapes behind him. The walk to the plain was silent except for the crunch of snow. The tree line loomed, still and dark.
I gave him a promise, but I don't know if it's enough to keep that thing from noticing me.
He took off into the lavender dawn, the cabin roof a tiny speck that disappeared under the wing. The weeks that followed were unremarkable to anyone else. Same routes, same freight, same sky.
But the hours near dusk felt heavier, like the air was holding its breath.
He began to notice a stillness in the trees just before the sun vanished. No bird calls, no wind.
It's like the whole forest knows what I know.
Flying past that strip became a ritual of looking away, as if the runway itself was a boundary he must not cross. He never mentioned the visitor again, but on cold nights, he'd check his windows twice, as if expecting a shadow that didn't belong. Years later, Noah's reputation as a reliable bush pilot had grown, but there was one condition nobody argued twice.
I'll take you to the village, but we land before the sun touches the tree line. Not a minute after.
A man in a heavy coat, a state contractor, pushed back. He needed to finish paperwork and didn't want to cut it close.
I am not risking an engine out in the dark, just so some form gets stamped. We leave now or we don't go. He doesn't need to know why. He just has to accept the boundary.
The man grumbled, but the look in Noah's eyes left no room. He'd lose a charter before he'd break the rule.
Windows closing. You want to be inside that village hall by lunch. We lift off now.
The contractor hauled his bag aboard, defeated. Noah checked the fuel, the sky, and the weight of the promise he'd made half a decade ago.
Elder Samuel's warning wasn't superstition. It was a map of a line I'll never cross again.
The Cessna lifted off into honest daylight, leaving the dark rule unspoken, but absolute. The passenger leaned forward, asking why the hard deadline. Noah kept his eyes on the horizon.
Some risks aren't worth taking. I've been flying these woods too long to test them.
He didn't elaborate. The memory of that first night was a cold knot in his chest.
Explaining would only invite more questions. Safer to be the pilot with odd rules.
The contractor persisted, his voice tinged with annoyance. What's the real reason?
I've told you all you get. You want the village. Accept the terms.
A long silence. The passenger settled back, maybe deciding it wasn't worth the fight.
No one can know. Not ever. The visitor doesn't forgive loose mouths.
He made a private vow. This truth would die with him and Elder Samuel. The engine hummed, steady and unbothered, as Noah flew into the weight of his choice. Now, older, Noah sits in his hangar as dusk thickens, a sectional chart open on the desk. His finger traces the route to that village, the line he swore never to cross after sunset. To anyone else, it's just a dotted line. To him, it's a closed door. A gust slams the hangar door, and he shuts his eyes. The memory of half-eaten dinners rushing back.
The empty tables, the toy on the floor. It's still as real as this chart.
Outside the hangar, the spruce stand black against a pale sky, an unbroken wall that has watched the village empty for centuries.
Samuel's warning wasn't superstition. It was a contract signed before metal wings ever touched snow.
Soon, 30 miles north, the houses will open their doors and wait for something that walks before words.
I'll never land there after dark. That rule is older in me now than the frost.
The hangar lights hum, the map still spread. A reminder that the wild keeps its own terms. The Cessna's engine caught, and its skis groaned against the snow as it turned toward the strip. It lifted into a lavender dusk, the kind that turns the snow into a pale mirror of the sky. Banking north, the plane crossed over the dark seam of the spruce, the village clearing sliding beneath the wing. There, at the edge of the tree line, a silhouette, still as carved wood, watched the plane drift past. No face, no movement. The same watcher from that first impossible night. Noah never turned to see it. He'd learned that not all unanswered things need a witness. The village's houses remained dark, their doors standing open to the coming night. The figure lingered at the tree line until the last trace of engine hum faded into the cold. Then the image bled to black, the sound swallowed by the spruce. Behind the hangar door, the map lay open, the dotted line from that airstrip, the only one never flown at dusk. The hangar lights hum low. On the desk, a sectional chart shows a dotted line to a strip 30 miles north. He traced it once, years ago, and never again. That line is a door he won't reopen. Outside, the spruce stand as they have for centuries, a silent witness to the pact that holds the village. Tonight, as every year, the houses will open their doors and wait for what walks before words. Noah knows the truth now. He wears it like a second skin, cold and quiet. He keeps the promise he made to an elder by a dying fire, a vow that never leaves his thoughts. He still flies the same routes. He still takes the same contracts. But when the sun drops below the spruce, he turns away from that airstrip without a backward glance. Noah still flies the route. He never lands there after dark.